Peter Gammons of MLB Network joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Thanks for calling in, Peter. Appreciate it.
Certainly, Rich.
So the passing of Yogi, you have the floor. Your thoughts on Yogi Berra's passing, Peter?
Well, I mean, as many people have said today, he is one of the most charming, delightful persons I ever met. I mean, he obviously was a great player, and all the numbers and so forth that go with the Yankees. I mean, one thing I do remember very well was being with him a few hours after he was fired by George Steinbrenner in 1985. And one thing that really bothered him is he was never appreciated as a manager. I mean, he took over in 1964 for the Yankees. They won 99 games. They won 99 and 63. They lost in 7 games to the Cardinals. And the David Halberstam's great book, 1964, I mean, the essence of the book was the Yankees were passé. They were of another generation. The game was passing them by. The Cardinals were of the newer generation and had completely passed them in talent. Yogi was the fall guy for the Yankees, not having any clue as to why they were no longer a big part. And of course they wouldn't be until George Steinbrenner bought the team. And and he never thought that he was appreciated with that year with the Mets when they finished first, 82 and 79, and then beat the Cincinnati Reds in the Big Red Machine, and then took the A's, who won 3 straight World Series, to a 7th game. And it was really one of those series of chance, because the deciding factor was the 2 Hall of Famers, Hunter and Seaver, matched up twice, and the A's won both games, as tense as they were. And that really decided the series. And then to come back to the Yankees and go 87 and 75 and 84 when the Tigers started out 35 and 5 and won 108 games, so there was no chance of finishing first. And then to get fired in 16 games the next year really, really bothered him. I mean, I always say about Yogi, he was very proud of being dependable. And I was looking this up this morning. He did lead the league in games caught for 8 consecutive seasons, which is remarkable. He was totally unselfish, which is why so many of the pitchers loved him and trusted him to be able to. A couple of the guys trusted to cut up baseballs off his shin guards as before he wound up and threw them back to the mound. And it was. I always thought that the word conviction is terribly important for pitchers. Catchers have to create conviction in pitchers to think, oh boy, this is going to be the best pitch I've thrown. And he was a master at that. And he also just knew so much about hitting. It just astounded me that he played in 19 years, averaged 22 strikeouts a year, and in 75 World Series games, which meant he was facing the other league's best pitchers. He struck out 17 times.
Unbelievable.
I mean, and it wasn't just great hand-eye coordination. It was that he really understood what other pitchers wanted to do to get him out.
Peter Gammons of MLB Network joining me here. And, of course, all of the statistics that are leap out at you. The one that never will be broken is 10-time World Series champion. And especially, just take a look right now, Peter. We could talk about best position players in the game today. Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, McCutchen, throw him in there too. Any of the young kids in the league right now, Correa in Houston even, Bryant in Chicago. The question is, will they be in the league 19 years, A, B, and be on a team that would be good enough to win, to go to 10 World Series, let alone win them? It's truly something we will never see broken, Peter.
No, I agree. I mean, because if you're that good, chances are, in today's system, you're going to go to free agency at one point or another. You might become too expensive for whatever team you're on, or it gets to the point where your agent says, look, go out on the market. You can do much better than this. And in some ways, as much as, I mean, and I still, to this day, I never forget the chills I would get going to Yankee Stadium, because it just didn't mean so much. The first time I ever went there, I was 7 years old. And you think of the history there. And in many ways, I think that Yogi is the most memorable Yankee. I mean, Jeter may be to next 2 or 3 generations because he's the last of the free agent period guys that's going to play 20 years with one team probably. But there's something with all that. And plus, and I was thinking about this morning. I mean, he spans so many demographics, so many generations, and so many things just beyond baseball. I wonder if, at least since Ruth, he is the most recognizable athlete. And I say that knowing, of course, Michael Jordan, but in Michael Jordan is he's really arguably one of maybe the greatest athlete that any of us have seen, but he still was a company in many ways. I mean, he was a commercial entity, and Yogi didn't have PR people who sent little pictures into the celebrity section of the newspapers every day. But he did do ads at the end, and that one, the one insurance ad was hysterical. But at the same time, he wasn't doing Papa John's pizza, 9 times a day, and that kind of thing. And yet, kind of like everybody. Steve Phillips this morning raised the question. I thought it was a great one. Was he the inspiration for Yogi Bear?
Yeah. I believe so, Peter. I'm reading the New York Times obituary. They absolutely draw the line from Berra to Bear, if you will. There's no question about it.
Tremendous. And he loved the game so much. He was still very contemporary with it and the players. And when Craig Biggio was elected to the Hall of Fame the first week of January last year, a good friend of Yogi's brought Biggio to Yogi's house to meet him. And it was terribly important. It was obviously very important to Biggio, but it was also really important to Yogi. I was thinking, boy, I wish I had been there to see that, because I'd love to see those 2 generations of Hall of Famers interact. Biggio obviously was overwhelmed by it, but it was a wonderful thing.
Peter, thanks for calling in. As we approach the postseason, I'd love to get you on more often. Okay, Peter?
Absolutely.
I'd love it.
Love to, Rich.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it. That's Peter Gammons of MLB Network joining me here on The Rich Eisen Show.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.